It was so nice to see the pond filled up after all that rain we had the other day, but it's quickly disappeared again. And this is quite normal. The pond is just the natural clay. It's been very dry and the water table's very, very low. So all this water that's come from the rain isn't wasted. It's going into the clay soil. It's puffing up those clay particles, and it's just sort of gone into the water table really. So if the ponds hadn't been here, all this water would have gone into the river and out to sea, but it's been trapped here and it's sort of gradually then soaked down into the water table, raising the water table up, and meaning that the next time it rains it will hold more water. To hold the water properly, those clay particles need to all be puffed up and hold that water in. And it takes a little while for that to happen, so every time that you get these rain events, a little bit higher all sort of puffs up and it holds water to a higher level. So every time it settles to slightly higher. So before, this bit was all dry, and you need really like continuous kind of heavy rain really to raise the water table. But it's sort of a bit late this year. Normally by now the pond is full, so it'd be like up to kind of here, but it's just a very, very kind of dry end to the summer and a very kind of dry autumn. It was very nice to see these channels filled the other day. They didn't get deep enough to get rounded on a boat, but it was nice to see water in them because it's been empty for so long. And before the rain, this water came up to about here, so all this extra bit has settled. So that's another kind of 2 inches higher. So if we have another rain event, it should settle so high. But if it just continues to rain and we have like a low pressure system after low pressure system, then the pond will just level off and be really full, and it will soak into the ground as well. I mean, when it rains, so much of it soaks into the ground, but a lot of it runs off as well. So having these ponds is really, really good to make sure that the water table is kind of higher all the time really, because it's sort of always there, filtering slowly into the ground. But of course, when it's been dry like this, then it takes a long time for this clay to really fully soak up properly and be able to kind of form a tight bond and hold that water in place. By contrast, this pond, which has been in here longer, I think about 6 years, is completely full. It was low because of the dry summer and autumn, but it was only about a foot low, and now it's already really high, and can't walk right out to there anymore, and that's really good. So it's hasn't rained for a week and it's still full, and it's like the other one, it's not got a line or anything. It's just taken the time. It was very prone to going up and down on the first 3-4 years or so. It got better every year. The first 2 years it would go down quite dramatically, but it just takes that time for it to kind of to properly sort of form a barrier really. And now it's lovely, you know, it just holds its form perfectly and it doesn't fluctuate very much at all. Yeah, it took probably about 4 years for it to do that properly, but 2 years to hold a reasonable amount of water. But even from the start though, whenever there was a continuous wet weather, it was full. And we'll have a look around the pond and see if it's still right up to the overflow. And I might need to clear away a few leaves from the pipe. But that's really good. So in a couple of years, the other pond will hopefully keep its water like this one. It's nice to see it full again, but it's nice to have one that's older and more established than the other ones, so that it sort of lets me think that the other ones are going to be more stable in the future, because this one used to fluctuate a lot. Hello. Well then, the fish seem happy. They're not eating anymore, but you can see there's loads of lots of different colours in the murky water where they swim around. I don't usually feed them through the winter, but yeah, this is really high. It doesn't look like it's gone down at all since the other day, and this one holds water brilliantly now. Yes, it's still over the pipe. This pipe tends to get a bit blocked up. I have tried putting things over it to stop the leaves, but it's not too bad. Just try and keep on top of it with these like sticks and things, because they can get jammed in the pipe. I did try putting, somebody said put some tights over it, and I did that once, and all the water just rose up and all this was pond. So that wasn't too good. I've always designed every pond so that where the overflow pipe is, there's like a what do you call it? Like a bit where if there's too much water and it overwhelms the pipe, it can come over here. So this is the one, this bit's a bit lower than everything else on the downside of the pond. So if there was loads more water or the pipe was blocked, it just goes the same way and goes into the like the wooded valley channel thing over here. So it's like a safety measure, because you wouldn't want sort of water just surging over. You'd want it going where it normally goes, you know. It's very nice to see all these little inlets filled up. They've been very low for ages, and it always looks really nice when the pond's nice and full. Especially this inlet, because it's quite shallow, and it's one of the first to go. When the pond drops by about 6 inches, it just disappears, and it sort of becomes deep about there somewhere, and just has this nice little shallow inlet. Most of the time it's got water here, but it hasn't been water here for so long. But you can see how this pond that's more established just holds the water really, really well. And usually, even in the summer, you have to go a week or two without any rain at all before it even starts to drop a bit. So this one, now it's established, just holds water really, really well. For ages, this was just loads of exposed subsoil being dug and moved around. All this back bit was built up here, other bits were dug out, so it was like a massive landscaping project for years and years and years. When this actual deep bit was dug by a digger, we had like a digger in to do that, and then it just it just used to go down dramatically the first year, exposing loads of it. But then every time it got more established, it wouldn't go down quite as dramatically, and after about 2 years it was kind of at a reasonable level, a bit like the other one is now, after about 4 years it's just held its water great. And because you can get different sort of clay you put down like to line ponds, but this is just, I've used the natural clay, so it's it's all just nothing added, just as it is. This pond here is at a much earlier stage of development. We've had the digger to come and dig the big hole, but we're doing the long process of landscaping all of the edges and everything into the shape we want them, so that's going to take quite some time. The pond here is like 2 years since they dug the big hole, so it's holding water pretty well, but it's not it does take a while longer for the rain to kind of fill it and to top up properly. So the rain came the other day, it filled up a few inches and then it dropped, and so it maybe filled up probably 4 or 5 inches, and then it dropped like 2 or 3 inches, so it's kind of held 2 more inches, but of course the more established one, it just filled up, you know. But this one will take a bit of time, but that doesn't matter. And it's much bigger, this one, of course, as well. So it's the first year it went down quite a lot, but now it sort of improves every year, you know. It just continually improves every time it gets really high. It holds water better. The clay sort of naturally plugs itself as more microscopic clay particles go through it and squash together inside the clay, and it seems to get better and better at holding water. Also, of course, the whole water table in the surrounding area is raised, which of course keeps it raised as well. So it's kind of like a holistic effect on the area. So it can be quite disheartening to see that water level drop after it's filled up, but it's all just part of the process. So when the proper rains come, it will fill up properly, and when the ponds are more established, it will fill up much more easily. So this sort of gooey kind of slop here, I can harvest that for a bit longer maybe. Although the bit where I harvest the slop here is already quite deep in water, but this stuff is just brilliant for building banks with and things. Yeah, I've got loads of sorry about that, Tarky. He didn't like that. Right, so there, so it will fill up, it will come back. Yeah, when you've got those new ponds like this, it does take them a while to establish, but they do establish eventually. So I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you press the little me, which is somewhere down there, you can see all my other videos. And if you have any questions, please ask, and I shall see you next time.